I don't know, just to be nice one of the times I offered him like a ketamine spray I had, and he was like, "Oh, that's cute. I literally don't feel these anymore." Like he could probably
Wow.
spray this entire thing in like just like rapid fire, go through the whole bottle, and probably feel like barely anything because this guy just needs to start that much powder. And that's how the ketamine gets to you, dude. Like it's a really like different form of addiction from what we're kind of like taught as kids, I think, or like what society tells us is like a drug addiction. Like you don't feel like you're going any deeper. You're not like, oh, I want to K-hole like harder, or like maybe you do, but that's not the main thing. It's just that your tolerance can build up so quickly if you don't take breaks.
This is Modern Day Hippie. We are your homies who've done nearly every drug under the sun. Over 600 psychedelic trips and nearly every kind of bender you can possibly imagine have armed us with a universe of knowledge. I'm Yuki, and with my co-host Reggie, we talk about how we do drugs in a responsible, safe, and fun way to improve our lives. Before we dive in, and so we don't get sued, a quick legal disclaimer.
This podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. Our goal is to educate and inform others about the realities of substance use in an engaging and entertaining format. We share these experiences so you can learn from them without trying them yourself. By listening to this podcast, you agree not to attempt to recreate anything found in this episode or in any of our other content. We are not confessing to any acts stated in this podcast. The content in this episode should not be treated as factual or real in any way.
With that, we welcome you through our portal and hope you enjoy the show.
What's up, hippies? Hope you're having a vibey day today. This is Reggie, and I'm joined here by Yuki. Man, Yuki, let me tell you about my freaking weekend, man.
Yo, let's hear it.
So remember how a few episodes back we were talking about how I had that nose surgery, and so like I stopped doing nose drugs for a while.
Yeah, man.
Well,
You took a long break. Like, how long were you off for?
almost 6 months,
Damn.
like 5.5-ish months. Yeah.
All right.
Well, I finally broke the streak.
Let's go.
And I might have went a little bit too hard on it.
Ooh, okay.
I was out on a boat with some friends, and I actually did no drugs or drank because, like, I don't even drink on the boat. Everyone around me was getting drunk and everything. But then afterwards, one of my homies was like, "Hey, man, Reggie, like, I might get a bunch of coke, man. Like, I think I just need it so I could drive home, blah, blah, blah. Like, I want you to have some, bro. I want you to have a lot, actually. Like, you always hook me up, blah, blah." And I was like, "Oh, shit, man. I don't know." It's like, not true. I was like, "No, I think it'll be good for you, man. When's the last time you did it?" And I'm like, "Fuck it, Like,
Yeah, no, I feel that.
So I just did a ton of blow, dude. Probably like $100 worth of blow by myself easily.
So I mean, what is that? Like a gram?
Dude, I was definitely more than a gram. I wasn't not measuring it. No, like
Damn, dude.
it was pretty good shit. But also like because the problem is that like we bought some, but then we were also just doing it with the plug and just like chopping it up. You know how it is, dude, with coke and shit.
Dude.
And I don't do a lot of coke, obviously, but it was just a vibe and at the time. And I definitely did not follow best practices when it comes to nose drugs. And I kind of just need to like refresh my memory on like the best way to do them, because I just did everything through one nostril just out of habit.
Oof. Yeah.
Because before my nose surgery, like I only really had one working nostril. So I made the mistake of doing that again. And man, let me tell you, it fucked me up, dude. And my nose was just bleeding like the whole next day and shit.
Oh my
Not,
God.
like, too bad, but like just like sneezing out blood and shit. And just like, so luckily the recovery part of it was good. I just kept on using that saline spray. And honestly, I was good within 2 days, which I did not think I would be, to be totally real with you. I thought I ruined some shit. But
damn, that's scary, dude.
But yeah, man, didn't sleep that night for sure. And it reminded me of why we don't do a lot of coke. Like, frankly, like it's not that great of a drug. Like, it doesn't even feel that good in the moment. It was kind of just like a social thing because everyone was doing it. But yeah,
dude, no, it's funny you mentioned that because I feel like I've been having more conversations with people lately who we've all like had coke phases in the past and we're all kind of over it. And like it's fun to do, but it's one of those drugs that you kind of hate yourself while you're doing, and you even recognize that it kind of makes you feel like shit in the moment that you're doing it. But it's just like a fun experience to do coke with your homies. But it's like, 10, 15 minutes after a line, you're like, oh, I want another one. And your brain just kind of like goes down that hole, and you just do all that in one nostril.
Literally. And it's like, when it's offered to you like that, it's like, why not? Like, because it's not like you do it often. So it's like, why not?
Yeah, exactly. No, dude, and it's also like the sheer quantity of powder that you're putting up your nose is so much more compared to any other nose drug. I mean, like you
Yeah,
guys know by this
it's-
point, like I'm a big ketamine, like 2C boy, and those are all just speed bumps. I mean, I probably have never done more than like a half gram, maybe 2/3 of a gram of either one of those in like a single night.
Damn, bro. I've
They're
done
just
more
like
than that. I've done more ketamine. I've done a gram of ketamine in a single night, bro.
dude, that sounds like the gnarliest K-hole. Like I really like
It was gnarly. I actually didn't know what I was doing. It was my first time doing ketamine, and I was at a
oh
show at
man.
Red Rocks, and I just ended up doing the whole gram, but it was ridiculous.
Insane.
I had to get someone else to like literally put it up against my nose so that I could snort it. 'Cause I literally was so okayed out. I could not consume more on my own. I needed help. Like,
Dude, that's awful. Oh my god. Not recommended
yeah, don't
officially
do
by
that,
the
y'all.
MDH podcast. Please do not do that.
Terrible idea, but
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. Anyway, so it sounds like you had a very coke-y weekend. Dude, I had a 2C heavy weekend. All right.
Oh yeah,
So,
let's hear it, man.
dude, I mean, it was the usual, just like chopping it up with some close buddies all night Friday night and then all night Saturday night. But like my weekend started on Friday night. It's 2 a.m. We're chopping it up. It's like 6 of us at my buddy's house. And at 2 in the morning, my buddy's girlfriend is like, I want to be on a boat tomorrow because it's like a long weekend.
What's up with the
And
boats, man? It's a summer thing, I
I
guess.
mean, dude, it's summer vibes, 100%. And you know how it is over here in my city. Like when it's the time of year, like everyone's just trying to be on boats. And she's like, I want to be on a boat tomorrow. And it's 2 in the morning. And I'm like, dude, like this is a long weekend. Like they're probably all booked out. But my buddy like pulls up the like a boat rental platform. We find one boat that's available. And while we're doing this, we're all like tripping and rolling dicks on 2C. Like we were going pretty ham. We're having a good time. It was peak 2C time. Like we're up beyond 2C every like 10, 15 minutes probably. It was so much fun. Especially this new batch I got. Dude, this batch is actually fucking fire. Like it's fantastic.
What's like the ratio, or what's like the feel of it? I guess is it more like MDMA heavy, or
Yeah, so it's 60K, 40M, a few drops of LSD, and a hint of caffeine.
wow,
And
caffeine? Is that a normal thing to put in a 2C?
no,
In the
so it's this
2C?
chef's specialty, but I was talking to him about it. And he said that the reason he puts caffeine in it is because as soon as you snort it, you feel the caffeine immediately. And then you kind of get an initial, like, just like sensation. And then, like, that wears off quickly. And by that point, like, your ketamine and your Molly are coming up, and the LSD is not too far behind that. And dude, it is such a good batch of 2C. Actually, like,
That
yeah,
sounds like the vibe.
yeah. No, I want to talk about this batch on an upcoming episode because it's actually like having tried quite a bit of 2C. And when I say 2C, guys, this is Colombian kitchen sink 2C drug cocktail, not to be confused with 2CB. I've tried a lot of batches at this point, and I feel like I've dialed in my taste pretty well, along with people who've been doing it for way longer than I have and are from like Central and South America. And it's not like a new drug to them. But yeah, it's 2 in the morning. We like try to book this boat, and it's through a platform where it's like Turo, you know, like you're renting from like a person, and you have to fill out
They
this
have
form.
that?
Oh yeah, do they have like half a dozen of those? And you have to fill out this form to like rent the boat. And one of them is like, what are your boating qualifications? And we're all just like tripping and rolling. And the guy who's like booking the boat and is like gonna pay for the whole thing because he's down for it. He's like, I can't see the screen, I can't type. Like Yuki, like take over for this. And so I'm reading the questions out loud, and I'm like, yo, make up something random about boating qualifications. And we like make up some bullshit. It's like, oh, I grew up on a lake and drove my parents' boat, and I rent these fast boats. And it's like, I've driven boats before, but I was way too high to like remember
Dude, they're
that.
probably just
And
asking
so,
for one of those online certificates that take like 10
no.
minutes.
It's not even that. Like, it's straight up just have you driven a boat before? Because like,
Oh, okay.
we got approved. It was the next day. I think we met up at like 2 p.m. at the boat dock to take off, and it all worked out. But it's like, dude, we were up until I don't know, like 5, 6 a.m. that night, just having a good time, and then went to bed. Woke up at like literally at noon. Got my shit together. Went on this boat, and dude, we brought like 3 grams of 2C on this boat, and like while we're driving, I'm just like passing around my Snogo 2 people with like 2C time. And dude, that's like the perfect case for the Snogo, honestly, because like you're driving a pretty fast boat. It's like you can't just do a spoon; it'll fly right off. So I just like chamber it in the Snogo, and then I'd hand it to people one by one. Dude, it's like serving drinks at a bar, but you're serving bumps through a Snogo. Like honestly,
Damn. And it's incognito as fuck.
yeah. I mean, we were definitely like bend down when you're snorting it because there are like helicopters on the water, especially on a long weekend
Yeah.
when everyone's just getting like pissed drunk. So you got to be careful with it. But at some point on the boat, my buddy like takes a fat snort like right in front of another boat of people, and they just look at him and they're like, "Nice, dude, nice." And dude, we're just on this boat for like 6 hours. At some point, I do like 2 fat bumps and I just like jump off into the water. And dude, I think my 2 favorite things in the world are number 1, riding a bicycle at ketamine or on ketamine, which is like
Nice.
Burning Man experience for me. And number 2 is swimming on 2C. This is the second
Wow.
time in the month that I've swim on 2C. And like, I love being in the water. I love swimming. Dude, at some point, like I did the 2C. I'm like, I just want to like fucking swim. So I swam to the shore of the lake that we were like kind of close to, but not that close. I get up on the shore, dude. I have so much energy. I started doing push-ups and jumping jacks on the shore, just like being like a head ass. That was a good time. And then I chased after this like floaty, like inflatable animal thing. And I was like chasing after it, but the wind kept blowing it away. I wanted to like claim it for our boat. But turns out it belonged to another guy who like paddleboarded to it and got to it before me. But he was a homie.
Nice.
Yeah, he let me take a rest on his paddleboard while my boat came to like pick me up because I've been swimming for a while at that point.
That's nice of him, too.
Yeah, dude. And then Saturday night, I like right after coming back from the boat, I went to a rave that I've been looking forward to for a while. But I'd been doing 2C all day. I'm like, I need a break from drugs, so I didn't do anything for the rave. And I probably stayed for like hour and a half. Like it was a good time. I was there with some homies, but I was like, I was gonna go back to this group that we were on the boat with. We were chopping it up the night before. They kind of feel like family. So I just go back to their place. And dude, me and one of the guys, we stay up talking until 8 a.m. just about like everything under the sun. Like
Damn, 8 a.m., bro.
life, love, spirituality, physics, like family. Like it's just, like it was wonderful. And I mean, I don't think we did any 2C after like 3 or 4 a.m. top. So we were just kind of in the afterglow state, just talking, feeling fantastic. And those are generally the experiences that I live for, like having good quality conversations with someone I love and like an afterglow state. Oh, it was wonderful. Yeah. And then I went home and I slept until 4 p.m. And then I went to bed that night at like 9 p.m. and I slept another like 11 hours. And honestly, like it was like a good recovery from the weekend. Like I was proud of myself for that one. Like,
bro, your body probably needed it, especially after all the swimming while on drugs and shit, dude.
Yeah.
It's like that
being in the sun.
That sounds like that's fun. Like being in a lake when you're like fucked up. Like I've definitely done it before, but I'm not gonna lie, dude. Like I realized I was out of shape this past weekend when I went out into the lake sober, dude. And I already was feeling like way too winded from just like swimming like a little bit. And I'm like, holy shit, dude. If I was fucked up right now, I would like not be okay.
Oh yeah, I definitely do not recommend that. The only reason I'm okay with that is because I'm like kind of insanely fit right now and I've swam my entire life. Like I feel at home in the water, but yeah, otherwise please do not mix drugs in water, like unless you're very confident,
maybe like a swimming pool or something, but definitely not in like the lake or the ocean. Like
even that. Or I mean, there are stories of people just like K-holing and drowning in pools. Like there was literally a celebrity like in the last year who that happened to. So don't fuck around with that. 2C was definitely more of an upper effect, so it like gave me hella energy. Yeah, don't fuck around with that.
Yeah, careful with the water and the drugs for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey hippies, we hope you're enjoying the show so far. If you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts and are having a good time, you need to come over to YouTube and subscribe to the Modern Day Hippie YouTube channel. We publish exclusive video content, and I promise you the experience is richer and more interesting. So if you're getting any value at all, stop what you're doing, open up the YouTube app, and subscribe at Modern Day Hippie. If you're watching this on YouTube and aren't subscribed yet, what are you doing? Go press subscribe. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the show.
But I wanted to get into the main topic for today, which is something that I've been seeing more and more around me, kind of in the circles I'm running in. And this is the topic of what around me seems like the most like addictive and dangerous drug to the people who I hang out with. And I don't know if you're going to be surprised to hear this, Reggie, but the most addictive drug I see in people around me is ketamine.
Really? Ketamine?
Yeah. It's not coke. It's not, I don't know, weed or anything else.
You think that's like the most addictive and dangerous one?
Yeah. So let me clarify why I say addictive. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, this definitely speaks to, I think, the people I hang out with, but definitely like my homies tend to like skew a little bit older. It's just like very successful, high functioning people who are like fucking like very work hard, play hard vibes. And so most of these people, like some of them drink, but even the ones who drink don't really drink that much. None of them are really like stoners at all. I think because they're just like a slightly older generation than us. So they never got super into it. they all kind of had their coke phase, and they'll do it every once in a while, but it's not frequent. And honestly, like ketamine is by far the most common drug that I see being done in these settings where it's like, I talk about these like mansion parties I go to, or just these like late nights and afters, and like this probably speaks like to me as well, but it's like I literally don't do coke anymore, and I think most people I know like barely do it or don't do it at all. So it's like there's not like that would be a very addictive one. But the reason I say ketamine is because I've started to see around me like different stages of people's kind of like life cycle with ketamine, and the way that the tolerance for ketamine really sneaks up on you to the point where it can seriously start to become a problem. And if you get to a point where you do too much K, I mean, you will have some serious bladder issues, and like
Bladder
even
issues? Ugh.
oh yeah, no, ketamine like fucks up
I
your
did
bladder.
not know that.
Oh yeah. That is like the thing to watch out for on K.
Is it like it affects your kidneys, or like what does it do exactly?
So I don't know the anatomy of it. Honestly, I need to look into it. But it's like if you do too much ketamine, you will start like peeing out blood.
Oh god.
and-
Oh god, dude.
yeah,
That sounds
and-
terrible.
yeah. And granted, you have to do a pretty large quantity of it. But I've even started to notice where like I honestly feel pretty like responsible and good about my ketamine usage currently. But it's definitely something I'm like keeping an eye on. But even when I'm on K, like there are times where I like feel like I kind of have to pee, and I'll go try and pee and actually like not have to pee at all. And like I don't like I know people who are like big like ketamine heads, ketamine kids, and like they have to pee all the freaking time, especially around that when they're on K. And that is like if you do enough ketamine, like you are guaranteed to start getting that side effect. And
Sounds
and
so
so
inconvenient.
yeah, and so you combine that with the way that the tolerance builds up for ketamine, where like it's something that feels like pretty innocent when you first start doing it, because it's like very small like key bumps, and you'll just do a few bumps throughout a night, and for most people like that'll keep you at like a pretty solid level. But unless you're taking like solid breaks from K, the amount you need to like get to that similar feeling really starts going up exponentially. So you might go from like a couple bumps a night to, I mean, I've seen people go like regularly like a gram, 2 grams, 3 grams in like a day or a night. And if you don't take
like
extended breaks,
psychedelics.
yeah,
Or
but it's not.
psychedelics, you know.
Yeah, I mean, psychedelics don't have that same sensation of like kind of like chasing the dragon, I'd say. And it's like
True.
like psychedelics don't have any negative effects on your body, like biologically,
Right.
at least not to the same extent, like at all. I mean, you could
I
do
just
acid
mean like the
every day.
tolerance sounds similar, but also like you wouldn't even want to do a psychedelic
Exactly.
like that next day. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, like psychs are just not as akin to like being abused. Whereas
They're
with
like
ketamine,
anti-addictive, I feel like.
what?
I feel like they're anti-addictive.
Exactly. Yeah. Like after like a trip, you're like, okay, like, I would probably like to do that again, but not tomorrow, like a little bit later. But just because of like the time span of the ketamine and the fact that it doesn't have the same like addictive nature as something like cocaine, for example, where it's like coke literally like starts to like kind of rewire your brain a little bit to be like, oh, like I want to do more coke in like 15 minutes. Ketamine, it's just like, because it's a dissociative, it's just like fun and it feels like very chill. And once you like start reassociating, you're like, I'll do a bit more to get back to that state. And so throughout a course of a night, you might continue doing it at a regular level. And even if you're just doing it like, let's say every weekend, that will slowly but steadily build up your tolerance to it. And like I've gotten to a point where I'm probably doing ketamine in some form, like on average every other weekend. And I haven't noticed any like serious side effects yet. And I don't feel like I'm doing like much more in a given weekend than I was the previous weekend. But like I said earlier, I've seen people at different tiers of what I would classify as like ketamine problems. So one tier was, I had a good buddy who he's like insanely successful, like makes great money, like has a lot of like dope shit going for him in his life. But he's just been going through like some personal things, like a breakup and some just like family stuff in his life. And so like on the weekdays, like he's like on point, doing work, whatever. But on weekends, he's been really like he's been throwing events, throwing parties, we'll hang out. And he's been turning to ketamine, I think, to like just take his mind off of the things happening in his life, kind of like unconsciously. Like he's not like actively being like, oh, I want to forget about this. It's just like it's fun. And then that group that we hang out with, like we're all like honestly like in a bit of like a ketamine phase, I would say. And so it got to a point where I want to say like 2 weeks ago, he started to recognize that like how stressed he had been about this like breakup and things happening in his family, and that he was just kind of starting to use ketamine a little bit too much. And he's actually really smart. So he makes, instead of snorting like powdered ketamine, he makes these really good like liquid mixtures where he puts it in with like saline and he puts in like aloe vera, makes these really great
nice.
nasal sprays that are honestly fantastic. But it makes it so easy and accessible. And it's like, oh, it's just a nasal spray. Like it doesn't feel like you're doing drugs. And so, like we'll be at his house, like he'll throw an event, or we'll be at a mansion party, and we're just doing that spray like constantly.
That's dangerous.
Yeah. And so he kind of started to get conscious of the fact that it was making him a little bit more like irritable in his day-to-day life. Like he was getting more impatient. Like he just was starting to feel a little bit off, like even in his day-to-day life. And so kind of our group, like we just had a really good open conversation with him. And honestly, like big ups to our group for being able to interact like this. Is just like, hey, like, have you thought about like slowing down on the ketamine or taking a break and just having a very productive, good conversation about it. Yeah. And honestly, like, yeah. Like I really wish this for all groups of friends. Like if you guys are regularly doing recreational drugs, like we do, definitely like try to have some homies who can keep you accountable and like not call you out, like be a dick, but just like be receptive and open enough with each other to be able to just have a dialogue where it's like not biased. And it wasn't us like calling him out or anything. We're just like, hey, like, do you think like the ketamine might be part of it? Like, we've definitely been doing a lot. Like we've had some pretty intense weekends of partying and stuff. And I mean, he took it like super well. And I really feel like he's starting to take some steps to just like take a step back before honestly it's too late. Like he's very much at a point where like he can do that for himself. Like he doesn't, I think, do anything remotely close to like rehab or stuff like that. But he's definitely like still in a very reasonable place, relatively speaking. But yeah, that was kind of like what I saw as like what could have been a close call with it. And so I was glad that my buddy here is kind of taking the steps that he needs to chill out a little bit on the ketamine, because it's like up on him. Like he's super high achiever, works at like a tech company you've definitely heard of, makes insane money, like really works towards his goals, like is just like a badass person. And so I don't know, even someone like him, like he can kind of fall down those rabbit holes where it doesn't look like an obvious addiction. It's not like, oh, he's like railing.
Nobody would think he's like, yeah.
Exactly.
Dude, that's how it always is though. I feel like it always sneaks up on you. If you just have enough access to it and you like don't set boundaries around it, then it's like way too easy for things to sneak up on you. Not just ketamine, but like anything really. Like it definitely happened to me with weed until I set some boundaries around it. Cause I was like, fuck man, I can't be high all the time. Like,
yeah.
It's not okay. Like,
dude, actually, speaking of boundaries, super random, but this past week, I met this guy who worked in the same industry as me. And you learned I work in that industry. He's like, oh, we should totally meet up. I'm like jamming on this idea. I'm like, all right, like let's chat. I was like, you want to just do like a Google Meet, a Zoom call? Because I'm like, I'm too lazy to meet people in person these days. For like work stuff. But he's like, no, like come meet in person. And so I drive, I don't know, it's not far. It's like 15 minutes to the place he's staying at. Dude, it's a literal trap house. I walk in and one of the first things he asks me is, do you do drugs? And it's like a Tuesday or Wednesday night. And I literally tell him, I'm like, yeah, but not on weekends. And
on weekdays.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I not on weekends. Only on weekends. Yeah. Definitely only on weekends. And like I meet a few of the other guys staying in the house, and they're all like fucking tweaking. Like I was like, what are you guys on? Like they're acting so weird. And so we gather in one of the rooms to like have our like business meeting. And I literally told him, I'm like, I time boxed him. I'm like, dude, I have an hour. Like I have other shit I need to do. Like let's meet up. Like I can't just do an all night like jam session on an idea that you haven't even told me yet. I don't understand. Dude, it takes him like 20 minutes to like gather everyone together. As soon as they gather together, just have a plate with like a few grams of Coke. They're like passing around. And I'm like, dog, again, it's like a Tuesday or Wednesday night. And you're trying to pitch me on your like tech startup, which by the way, the pitch was awful. I'm like, you guys have no idea what you're doing. Like, they're like, we're going to make a lot of money together. No. I'm like, you guys are definitely just like coked out of your minds right now. And like, you just,
dude, I don't know what you're doing. So many dumbass pitches when people are just coked out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, like respectfully shut the fuck up.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking. I was so glad I time boxed it, because as soon as the clock hit like 9, I think I was like, all right, guys, I gotta go. I got other shit to take care of. And I am never entertaining that again. I was like, good luck. I don't want to be involved with this at all. Like you guys are literally tweaking. So that was interesting. But yeah, that was Coke, and I'm sure those guys have a Coke addiction, if I had to guess.
Dude, yeah, the boundaries. That's a really good boundary right there. Like for starters, don't be doing those kinds of drugs on the weekdays, like for real. Like
No, for
we have no
real.
reason to be doing that. Like
Yeah, no, and even these homies that I hang out with, we're like all like really into 2C. Like none of us do it on weekdays. Like we wouldn't even think about it. It's like
bro, why would you want to? It's like we've
no,
talked
it's
about this
awful.
plenty of times on the pod. Like keep it special, you know?
Yeah,
Like
straight up.
you're literally just gonna like ruin it for yourself if you do it too much.
Yeah. Amen to that, dude.
You're at the club and the music is thumping, but you've got nothing left in the tank. So what do? Sniff some cacao. Yup, you heard that right. Sniff some cacao. It's the hottest new trend in the club and party scene. One bum-sized sniff of raw chocolatey powder contains the caffeine equivalent to a half cup of coffee, and boom, it hits instantly. And the best part is you can now sniff cacao anytime, anywhere. Right out in the open, in front of the DJ booth or the stage, even at the VIP table with your friends. Now, how does that happen without drawing unwanted attention? Snogo's spring-loaded bump straws make it possible. These classy, triple mirror polished bump straws are the safest, most discreet way to enjoy sniffing cacao. In fact, you've most likely already seen people wearing Snogo's bump straws as pendants around their necks without even knowing it. Discover why sniffing cacao using Snogo bump straws is being called the biggest revolution in partying since the invention of rock and roll. Jump on over to snogostraws.com to learn more. That's SNOGOSTRAWS.com and use discount code MDH15 at checkout for 15% off your entire order.
And back to the ketamine topic. So the second anecdote that I wanted to share was an even more like high level, I would say like advanced addiction of ketamine, and this is like significantly further along. So basically, it's this this girl who camped with us for this big music festival not too long ago. She was in our camp. Like I got to know her through our camp. It was like mutual friends that invited her and invited me. And dude, she literally brought a jar full of ketamine, like a straight up like jar, like probably
we're talking like
probably a good like 3 to 4 inches deep. And I was just like watching her doing it. And it was like, yeah, like she was down to share it, but it was very clearly like for her.
wow.
And I was talking to one of her good friends, and she's like, yeah, this girl literally, like, she, like, any festival she goes to, and she goes to a lot of festivals, she's doing like 30 grams of ketamine. Like, she brings 30.
No fucking way, dude.
Yeah.
How is that like possible? Like, that's just so much powder.
Dude, no, it's literally a jar. Like, it is literally like you could like.
That just sounds so bad for you.
You
like
could
on
grab,
so
like,
many different levels.
Yeah, dude, it's awful. You could grab like a handful of it, and yeah, I mean that like right, it's all relative, dude. It really is all relative, and that is like gone a little bit too far. And granted, this girl, like, you know, her story of like kind of how she got here, like it kind of makes sense. Like she comes from a very, very wealthy family, and basically growing up, she was told that she never had to have to work a day in her life.
Oh,
and she still went to college and she graduated like just fine. But I mean, she doesn't work. She doesn't have to do anything. And like, honestly, she's really involved in like the burner community. She's doing a lot of cool shit there. And I'm sure she does other stuff, but it's like, can you imagine just waking up every day, not having to do anything? And it's just like, oh, I can just do ketamine today and like vibe out. And like, you just keep doing that and doing that and doing that. And you get to a point where you're doing multiple grams a day and you can afford it because like money's not an issue. Like,
wow.
Yeah, that's
dude,
bad.
That's when it's hard to set boundaries because it's like, what is a weekend, bro? It's the same as any other day. So it's like, you're not going to be like, oh, let me just on days that I don't work or something. Like, nah, dude, like you have no reason technically not to.
No, exactly. Like it's so dangerous, like having that lack of responsibility. And yeah, and it's like I'm not super close with her, so it's definitely not my place to like say anything or do or intervene. But I'm close with one of her really good friends, and I'm like, yo, like this is not okay. And my friend is like, yeah, like I think I'm gonna go to her city for like a week or two and just try to like start getting her back on track because like good. that's another tier of like addiction. And
dude, that's like,
and she's been doing it for like, probably like 8 to 10 years, bro. Like that just sneaks up on you. And like, yeah. I mean, she's older than us, so it's like,
oh, okay.
Yeah,
but still, dude, that's like that's the level of addiction that like if she didn't have money, she would literally be homeless. That's the reason. That level of addiction is why so many homeless people don't want to not be homeless, because they just don't want to have the responsibilities, because it means that they can't just be like high all the time. You know, that shit's scary, man. Like it's scary when like it gets to that point where she probably has trouble like distinguishing days from each other and shit. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And like her like,
yeah. And like, I don't know if she's at a point where she's peed out blood, but like she has to use the bathroom a lot, to the point where like like our mutual friend is like, yo, you need to pee so often, like literally lay off the ketamine if for no other reason than for me to not have to go with you to the porta potties every like 15 minutes.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
dude.
no, like dead ass.
People probably think she's going in there to do drugs, but she's really going in there to piss them out.
Nah, nah. And honestly, like she reminds me of the asshole guy who I knew through my Burning Man camp this last year, who I literally one of the very few people in the world who I actively dislike. And I didn't like get a visual on like the tier of like ketamine amount that he's doing, but I know it's a lot because every time I saw him around camp on Playa, he's doing like the Lego man walk. We were kind of like,
Is that what they call it?
yeah. I call someone told me Lego man, and I think that's the perfect term for describing someone like walking on ketamine. And I've shared it with a few people, and it's like they think it's hilarious. Like when you see it, it looks exactly like that. Like you're kind of just like you're not really bending your limbs. You're just kind of like waddling almost. Like when you have like block feet. Like if you've ever tried walking like on a lot of ketamine, it feels like your feet are just like bricks.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't think I have. I don't think I have tried to walk ketamine.
It's an experience, dude. I'll tell you that. And like even like when I was trying to interact with him, like he was just so not there, like constantly for the entire week of Burning Man. And then I ran into him a couple times like after the burn, and I don't know, just to be nice one of the times I offered him like a ketamine spray I had, and he was like, "Oh, that's cute. I literally don't feel these anymore." Like he could probably spray this entire thing in like just like rapid fire, go through the whole bottle, and probably feel like barely anything because this guy just needs to start that much better. And that's how the ketamine gets to you, dude. Like it's a really like different form of addiction from what we're kind of like taught as kids, I think, or like what society tells us is like a drug addiction. Like you don't feel like you're going any deeper. You're not like, oh, I want to K-hole like harder. Or like maybe you do, but that's not the main thing. It's just that your tolerance can build up so quickly if you don't take breaks. And so something I really am striving to continue to be intentional about is breaks from drugs. And like we've talked about on past episodes, it's like the longer a break you take from a drug, the like more fun it is the first time you get back into it. And
definitely, yeah.
And building in breaks that like work around your lifestyle. Like if you're going on a trip or you're like, I don't know, prepping for something like, I don't know, like a marathon or some shit, like use that as an excuse to be like, you know what, I'm actually gonna take a break from all drugs or specific drugs that have those more addictive qualities. So
or partake in the 420 fast, where you just don't smoke any weed until 420. It just makes 420 so much better.
Dude, facts. Yeah, man. But I wanted to share that because like I'm very fortunate to be surrounded by some incredible people, like some of the kindest, most loving, most driven, successful, ambitious people. Like truly, I feel like some movers and shakers of our generation, and then even some adults who are worth like tens, maybe hundreds of millions. And ketamine is a drug that I'm seeing take hold of like the biggest percentage of these people who I'm spending my time with.
Dude, it's important to talk about, and I'm really glad that you're talking about it, because a lot of times with those people, nobody calls them out. And because like whether it's like a power dynamic thing or like it's just not something that anyone really notices, like a lot of times that kind of behavior kind of just goes unchecked, and that's how people end up having fucking jars of ketamine and shit for themselves. Like
yeah. And that's why you need good friends to check you on that kind of shit. And like back to the girl with the jar of ketamine, like she lives in a different city from us, and I just don't like, it sounds like she doesn't have that many like friends there. Like she doesn't have people who would even like observe what she's doing and like even be in a position to be like, hey, like, maybe you want to like just chill out a little bit, like take it easy.
And it's like, man, I hate to say it, but I feel like if you're rich or you have money and everyone knows you have money, it's like almost hard to make genuine, real friends, because like you're always wondering if they just want something from you or something like that.
Yeah.
Which like if she grew up with money like that, she never really had a chance to form those genuine connections with people without like some kind of possible ulterior motive or something, which is, it kind of sucks. Like that's not her fault, Like,
no, I mean, it really goes down to, I think, the way her parents raised her. And I really don't know details here, but it's like, I mean, yeah, if you tell your kid that they're never gonna have to work a day in their life. Like that's just not good, in my opinion. Like if I ever had that much money and I want to have kids, like hell no, like that fucks with people on a level that is just goes so much deeper than I think in
I would
addition to
definitely like
drugs
tell
or
my
anything like that.
kids that we don't have money, even if we have a crazy amount of money. I'd be like,
Yeah,
oh,
or just
yeah.
don't tell them that they'll never have to work. Don't promise
Yeah.
them that like, hey, like I'm gonna give you like millions and millions of dollars like when you graduate. Or again, I don't know details, but like, I mean, money changes people, and I mean, especially as a kid where you're just your brain is so malleable and you're just learning how the world works. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, definitely unrealistic type of standard. But damn, glad you talked about it, man. This not even just her, but in general, the whole ketamine thing definitely seems like it's something that sneaks up.
Yeah, it does, and I'm glad that like the groups I'm a part of are aware of it, and I just hope that other people out there are doing ketamine, which honestly it's something I don't know how much this applies like across the US, but I really feel like Coke is kind of going out of style a little bit. And honestly, hence why the cartels are now like pushing 2C more and more. Like it's definitely like 2C's been big in South America, it's been big in Central America. Every single person I've talked to in the US, the first time they tried 2C was while in Mexico, and it was basically since the beginning of COVID. And
Sounds about right.
it's starting to become a little bit more widespread in the US. And yeah, also even people who I don't directly do drugs with, like I know that ketamine is like pretty popular, and I think ultimately it depends on like the microcosms of the people and the groups. But I really think like overall, if I had to guess, I'd say like Coke is kind of declining in its market share in terms of just drugs that people are doing, and ketamine and 2C are kind of on the uptick.
Dude, I feel like ketamine's super popular in like the UK and shit.
Oh, dude, yeah, ketamine is huge in UK
Yeah,
and
which
Europe
is
in
like
general.
concerning because like a bunch of teenagers and shit are doing it over there, and I'm just like, bro, your brain is like not there, dude. Like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah,
don't be messing with that shit so young.
no, exactly. Yeah, and actually, there's a good series of like the Vice like mini documentaries on YouTube about the UK drug culture. I forget the title of the mini series, but like every episode is on a different drug, and there's one on ketamine that's pretty gnarly. There's one on like NOS, like whippets, basically.
Yeah,
Like they sell that in
the
literally
balloons,
balloons
right?
outside of every club. Yeah, honestly,
That's crazy. Wow,
UK drug culture is on another level from the US.
dude, it
To
does
be
not
honest.
sound good. Like, people just need to do more psychedelics, in my opinion.
Oh, facts. 100%. 100%. Well, cool, man. I appreciate you listening to this one.
Yeah, man. Thanks for sharing. Appreciate you.
Yeah. That's the pod, guys.
You've been listening to Modern Day Hippie. As you exit the portal, we have just one small ask of you. If you learned something new today, had a laugh, or resurfaced a drug story of your own, we want to hear about it. Drop us a comment on YouTube and show us some love on your favorite podcasting platforms. Internet algorithms really dog on us because of the topics that we discuss, so your support goes even further here than you might think. We'll catch you next week.